What's up, guys? So it's part 2 of Boogie's shop here, working on Lemon Dropped, and Boogie called me up and he said, you know what, Chris, the frame rails are actually a little bit worse than what was thought. So I'll have to get this hood up and show you guys, but you can see here, this was the initial rust hole that was seen, and there's rust in the top here, and after some hammer treatment, it was actually really bad on the inner side where they usually go. And he said, we need to drop this K-member to fix this right. So that is the task on hand for today. And Elvis is here. Say hi, Elvis. Hi. How long have you been working for Boogie?
Over 20-something years now.
20-something years. How do you like it, man? Good, man. Good.
Best.
So you've known me for 20-something years. Of course. You remember me when I was younger?
Yeah, man.
Speaking of rust, we got something on the rotisserie right here. This gentleman actually called me up, so this is going to get a Dutch kit this notch. And I want to say this might be light crystal blue. Everything is getting straightened out. You can see there is some frame rail repair done here as well, and a lot of floor. Boogie, what do you think about this one?
You tell me. I'll leave it up to you.
A lot of cutting and welding, man.
Yeah.
So you had to redo the whole frame rail. The rear frame rails complete were done. They redid both frame, new rails.
You check in the back? Go through the back. You have to put this yellow one on this machine, eh?
Oh yeah.
See all these here?
So this was changed?
Yeah, all this is brand new.
Right.
All of them new.
So he's okay with this red? No candy underneath?
It's a candy red, but this is candy. This comes from 1967 only.
Oh right.
Without pearl.
Okay.
But it's a candy red.
So now we need to get this one up.
You could put this up here on this.
Yeah. Then you can fix the underside.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The guy tell him I want the machine borrow.
Okay.
So he said when the guy just had the floor now.
Yeah.
I painted black and give it to him.
Yeah.
And then he'll give me the machine because I want to use it on this because I know you want to go clean it up better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the welding, you'll get the welding in front more better because you have to drop that suspension.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So there you have it, guys. Lemon Drops going up on the rotisserie. So we'll be able to get that floor done properly, make life a lot easier than Dutch number 5. We'll be able to just flip this thing around, clean up what needs to be cleaned. The floor is cleaner on this guy than the number 5 car was. It's really just getting that K-member out, getting the frame rails cleaned up in those few little sections of the front. Now with that said, we might get on the rotisserie, we might see a whole other array of things that need to be done. But I'm here to work, need to try and get as much productivity done in the next few days, because I'm trying to get all these projects out of the way by the end of November, or October rather, and get these things on the road. So let's get at it. Here you can see some of the holes that I smashed through with a hammer, and you can see all of the rust that came out. Lovely. Similar on this side. Man, and it's just everything that I can feel in here is rust, plus everything down here. So now you know why. You gotta drop this K-member out. Bolt with the less rust on it was the hardest one to get out, but there we go, guys. Beat the steering shaft out of this thing. project complete. All right, guys, we got this K-member out. It took a little bit of persistence and brute force with 2 bars and 2 3/4-inch sockets, but it's all good. We got it dropped down. See how things are looking under here. Oh, there we go. Rust. One interesting thing about these frame rails rotting is there's actually a factory hole here, and this hole is positioned right in between the 2 main mounting bolts, which you can see here. So that hole typically should be able to drain anything that's, you know, got inside the frame rail, and there's room here for anything to drip down and potentially escape. The problem is these holes get filled with debris and dirt and everything else and stop draining, which allows all of your fluid to pool, especially between the 2 bolts and the spacers that are, or the sleeves rather, that are in there, and just kind of gives an ecosystem for things to rot and, well, give you this end result. You guys are ever wondering the difference between a 4-cylinder and a 5-liter K-member? Here's a 4-cylinder one. You can see this section is actually open. Does it really do anything different? Not really. The pre-Aero cars, so your 86 and down, I believe even the 5-liter cars had the same design. And I guess the advantage of these would be that you could actually, if that hole in the K-member was filled, you would be able to access it through here and kind of poke something, a screwdriver or whatever, and get the debris knocked out. So interesting fact for you guys that might not have known the difference between some of the K-members. Otherwise, everything else is the same. Your motor mounts go in the same spot. There is no difference. So this car right here was a 4-cylinder car, and that's the K-member that came out of it. So it can 100% be used, and you can see right here, this is the hole that I'm referring to, and you can see that there was a little bit of rot here that's been blasted out, and if you look inside, there's a whole new patch and panel that's been put on the underside and on the inside on both frame rails here. So hopefully this car will last a nice long time now after all its work that's been done. All right, guys, so it's the next day here. Been helping Boogie out with this Mustang that's sitting on the rotisserie. Got all the floor painted on the inside here. So I went through and just made sure that there was no surface rust. Everything was cleaned up. Put some seam sealer in the welded areas and the seams, and then we just sprayed a black rubberized undercoat in here. So as you can see, it turned out pretty nice. Not really gonna see this when the car's back together anyways. Back to these door handles. So got some stuff masked off here. I've already got the old handle taken out, so we'll see what we can do. My good friend Andrew actually scanned the door handle, and he had different templates cut out, laser cut, so the finish of the cutting is super nice and smooth and fits the handle perimeter perfectly. So that's good, because that was one of my main concerns, was the overall fit. I'm gonna go ahead and actually cut the top of this guy off. So it's gonna be a narrower plate, and we're probably gonna work with this surface area because the door is contoured. We do wanna make sure that we can make sure that this can kind of bend and form to the way that we need it to, and we don't wanna be welding in right on this body line. So I'm gonna cut this plate, then I'll make sure that I have this all measured out right and taped off, and then I'm gonna cut this section out of the door, and fingers crossed we'll get this handle in this door today. Well, we'll get both handles in both doors today. All right, guys, so we got everything cut out here, ground down some metal around the edges, so we got something to weld to, using a couple trusty magnets to hold things in place, and measured numerous times to make sure that my distance is where it needs to be, so this is sitting nice and straight. So I'm going to start with some tack welds and see how it's sitting, test fit the handle from the back side, and hopefully this is all going to work. All right, guys, so things are getting pretty involved here. Obviously, we've managed to get the handle to go in. It fits in manual mode. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the power feature to work, but that will be a story for another day. The most important point now is to finish up all the mounting points and make sure that all of them are going to work. So I am getting down in here, and I need to get that bolt, which will be a mounting bolt, up in that corner. So that actually needs to get welded to the actual door because we didn't use the plate to its full height. If you remember, we cut it down so it was just a little bit below the main body line. So I got to get that stud mounted on there. And then there's two more mounting points. Those ones will end up on the plate, much like these two on the prototype that I did here. Or sorry, these two. So it's this guy here that I'm welding up right now onto the actual door itself. So it's important that we get all the mounting points on here before we do any types of paint, because obviously I am welding. We don't want to distort any of the metal from heat or anything like that. So I'm gonna do my best to try and get the welder in there. You can see I already got a little bit of a glob and kind of missed the mark. So I just got to get it tacked, then I can take the handle out and then finish welding that stud in. Behind me, you can see the finished passenger side door. So one note, always do the side you're not going to be most familiar with the first time around. So in this case, I did the passenger side door so that I could perfect the driver's side door. Anyways, everything's pretty much good to go here. Mostly welded into place. The handle bolts in. I've taken it out just because a Boogie wants to be able to do all the body work there. And then that way you can make sure the handle, everything is working, fitting good. And then after that, put the handle in, everything will be able to get painted and should look pretty sweet when it's done. So I'm gonna do a full time lapse of the driver's side door, and that's everything from removing the glass, drilling off the handle, flipping panels over, cutting the door, and you're gonna see welding studs in place, everything else. So this first guy probably took me the better part of, I'd say 4 or 5 hours to get this one done. I bet you I can do the next one in under 2. So it just goes to show, first time is always the hardest. Then from there, you'll be able to make improvements. You'll be a lot faster. You know what your method to your madness is at that point, and you'll be able to knock it out real quick. Here at about the halfway mark on the driver's side door, you can see I've already got 2 of the studs welded into place here, and I've already got the section cut out on the door handles off, glass has been removed, and next step is once this cools down, I'm actually going to tack this into place. So this is something I didn't do the first time. The first time I had the panel in there, then I had to cut it out and then do the studs. So this time I'm actually doing the studs first. Reason for that the first time around is I really need to make sure that the handle was going to fit, it would clear the glass, and is actually going to work, which it is. So this time around, studs on first, tack welded on place. I'll get the 3rd stud welded in from inside the door, and that's going to be right around in this position right here. And then once the handle is in and everything is looking good, then I can go ahead and weld the rest of this guy in. And that'll be door number 2 done. So pretty straightforward. Really happy with the way things are turning out. Posted a little mock-up on Instagram earlier, and man, I've been overwhelmed with positive feedback on this. So I'm happy I did not give up on trying to make this work. And I didn't think it was. We watched the last video. I was like, yeah, no, it's not going to clear the glass, not going to work. I had to do some pretty extensive modifications to the handles in order to get the clearance that I need, but they'll work. That's all that matters. So let's get back to this and knock this door out. That's going to conclude my second 2-day trip to Boogie's shop here. Managed to get a lot of the important stuff done. So that K-member is out of the car. As soon as this goes back to the other shop over there and they get the suspension back under it, then lemon dropped will be on this rotisserie, and we're going to get the whole underside of it. I don't know if we'll do it in yellow, but it'll at least be done in black. So pretty exciting stuff. You know, again, it doesn't look like much was done, but you know, in 2 days to get that K-member out, do some work on Mike's car here. Most importantly, to have got these handles in these doors, which I'm really excited about. And yeah, I really can't wait to see how these guys are going to turn out. So you can see between these 2 videos and 4 days that I've spent here, 5 days actually. First time around I was here 3 days. So a lot of time has been spent in these doors. So if you add up those hours, not cheap to get custom stuff done, right? But luckily my labor to myself is free, well, sometimes. So anyways, that's going to be a wrap for this trip to Boogie's. It won't be the last, I am sure. And I'm hoping next time those frame rails are done. So I got Jim from the shop next door, a great metal fab guy. He's gonna probably come in on the weekend and cut fab and weld up those punky areas in the frame rails, get those done, and from there it's really just blasting, you know, cleanup and normal body work, and everything should be good to go. So that's it, guys. Thanks again for following along. We'll see you next time.